Okay, it's June 10th, 2015. Dave is going to change the cup here, and go ahead, David. And we're just going to show the extent of the roots. That's enough. That's deep enough. He's only going to go down 3 or 4 inches. As you can see, the green, it's a beautiful day today. It's June, and turf all looks good, healthy, besides the poinia flowering like crazy. And we're just going to see what kind of roots we have here when it should be the best. You can see the plug broke. You can see the roots are down roughly 3 inches. And we're going to go to a neighboring club here at the Park District Golf Course with 2-year-old greens, USGA greens, and we're going to compare what just happened here with what they have at their golf course. You can see we got some dangling roots there from the air fire hole. Nice healthy bundle. That's where the verted drain was. But we're going to compare this with a green that's growing in the same environment, but with the USGA bent grass green. Okay, it's June 10th, 2015. We just were at North Shore Country Club. But keep going, Nick. Nick's kind enough here at Wilmette Park District to take a plug out of his green now. They just redid. Nick, are these 2 years old now, these greens?
Not quite 2 years.
So they're just short of 2 years old, USGA greens. We're going to show you what the difference is. Same environment, same time of year, what a sand-based ridge zone does with creeping bent grass. Go ahead and extract that. What the difference is. You saw how the plug basically broke at about a 2-inch depth on our number 11 green. And this plug here, I think you're going to see a significant difference. First of all, you can see how it's all sand, so the drainage is phenomenal. So Nick picks it up. Look at the amount of roots, the full depth of the cup. And you can just see the massive root structure that exists on this green. Now, in fairness, as this green ages, it'll take several years, it won't be quite so aggressive in rooting. But by far, as this green ages, it's still never going to get to the point where an old push-up green growing poinia is. So now this turf will weather the storms better in droughts. With roots this deep, you can afford to dry out the surface, so the playability is enhanced in a sense of firmness, because you got all the roots down here extracting moisture and nutrients. On our old push-up green, as you saw, all the action's near the surface. I can't afford to let that dry out very much at all, because the plants are going to wilt and suffer stress from it. These plants won't. Thanks, Nick. It's June 9th, 2015, and I have some samples of sod here taken from Bobolink Golf Club. They're redoing their golf course, so these samples here were taken from a green that hasn't been mowed all year, and it's fascinating. These grasses are very similar to the grasses on our golf course. It's the same vintage, same climate, and you really see the different personalities when you allow the grass to grow and not be mowed every day. I want to point out this grass here, it's extremely fine, compact, dense, dwarf. That's a type of poinia, a perennial type, that doesn't produce seed, as you can see, stays really tight. It's a beautiful putting surface. That's what they call pygmy poa or Oakmont bent. That's the kind of poa that takes decades to kind of evolve on these older golf courses like Chicago Golf. And it's a pretty hardy perennial type poinia compared to, say, this annual biotype that's producing a heavy seed crop every spring. So 2 different types of biotypes or genotypes of poinia. This one here that stays compact, no seed. This one here that grows up, gets puffy, and produces a lot of seed. You can also see, hopefully in this video, that the seed heads are pushed up above the tissue, the leaf tissue. So that's why your greens get so bumpy when they're seeding heavy like this, because you're basically, the ball's rolling up against these seeds instead of the leaf blades. and it's really evident, especially later in the day when the plant, after it's mowed a few hours afterwards, and the plant pushes this seed stem up. You can see they're stocky little stems that also collapse around the whole cup. It's really hard to get these to keep a nice, crisp, clean whole cup because these stalks just kind of fall into the cup, especially if a couple of hands rub against it when a ball's retrieved. Then lastly, you got this coarser grass that looks all healthy, whiter leaf blade. That's your creeping bent grass. So you got one perennial pygmy type poa, the annual type poa, and then the bent grass. This sample here is interesting because you can see obviously this whole part here has got creeping bent. The majority of the rest of it, there's some exceptions in here, is mainly annual bluegrass. You can see when you look underneath there where all the roots are. The massive roots pretty much exist directly underneath where the bent is growing, because the poania has a tendency to produce a lot of these seeds at the expense of the carbohydrates. So this type of poania and the creeping bent grass is not wasting any of the energy as it puts it into the seed crop like this poania does. So this poania is a weaker strain, tends to be shallow rooted, more prone to disease, especially compared to creeping bent grass, and that causes trouble later in the summer.